And yeah, today I thought we'd kind of take it easy. If nobody has any recommendations or anything, we're going to start how we always do, in a comfortable seated position for our grounding meditation. Roll through about 60 minutes of movement, asana practice, and then end with a nice long Savasana final relaxation pose. So, coming to a comfortable seat, either on a chair or seated on the ground, legs crossed, Sukhasana, easy sitting pose. Seated up nice and tall, crown of the head towards the sky, chest over the hips. Hands come to rest on the lap, either palms down to ground down or palms up to give and receive energy. Eyes can close if that's comfortable. If not, you can just lower your eyes to a soft gaze, maybe 16 inches in front of your feet on the ground. We'll take 3 cleansing breaths, in through the nose, out through the mouth. On the inhale, on the inhale, shoulders rise up towards the ears, and on the exhale, an audible sigh out through the mouth, shoulders drop down. 3 of those. And just allow the breathing to continue in and out through the nose if that's available. And we'll take a moment here just to arrive. Let go of everything that came before and everything that's to come up after. And just become present to yourself here in this moment, here in this space. And beginning to allow sounds into your awareness. Perhaps the sound of morning birds singing, or passing traffic outside your window. And the sound of a pet or a roommate shuffling around the apartment. Whatever it is, allowing it in, all invited in, all part of this moment, this experience. Notice the temperature of the air on your skin and the weight where your body makes contact with the ground below you. And the weight of your hands on your knees. And begin to scan your body from head down towards toes. Checking in for any places of tightness or sensitivity. Any restlessness or fidgeting. I'm just taking note to work into those places throughout our practice today. Notice energetically where you're at in this moment, scale of 1 to 10. 1 being exhausted, ready to go back to bed, fatigued. 10 being so full of energy it's hard to sit still. And shifting the awareness to the breath. No need to change it, just observe inhalations and exhalations. and whatever space in between. Shift the awareness once more up to the mind, allowing thoughts and emotions to arise without engaging with their storylines, like clouds passing in the sky. Observe and keep your distance. And just notice, what are the quality of the thoughts today? Do they have a positive or a negative tilt to them? Are they long, drawn-out dramas or quick, detached fragments? Not good or bad, not right or wrong, just something to notice. We'll bring the attention back down to the breath. Anytime the mind begins to run off on a train of thought or a string of ideas, you can always ground it back down to the present moment through the breath, even repeating to yourself internally. Inhale. Exhale. As a private mantra, an anchor to this moment. We'll actively expand the breath here, inflating the belly on the inhale and allowing it to bring the belly button in towards the spine on the exhale, deflating the belly. Just full belly breaths. Bring your hands to meet at heart center, palms pressed together in Anjali Mudra, slight tuck of the chin. Thumbs pressed against the sternum, no space between the fingers. Consider here setting an intention or a dedication for your practice today. Whatever first comes to mind. We'll seal that intention with the sound of Om. First, a cleansing breath. Relax the hands down to the lap, chin drops towards chest. And inhale, right ear rolls over towards right shoulder. Exhaling, chin to chest. Left ear rolls over towards left shoulder. And just letting the head roll like this, side to side. Beginning to open the space on the side of the neck, trapezius muscles. And extend the heads in center. Just bring it back up through center. And begin to roll the shoulders forward. Eyes can be opened or closed for this. No wrong way of doing it. Just rolling the shoulders forward. And roll the shoulders back. Nice. Come into stillness in the shoulders. We'll inhale, arms sweep up overhead. And exhale, bend over to the right. Left arm reaches over, drawing a big circle in front of the body. Left arm leading, right arm follows. Sweep it all the way up and over. Connecting the breath. Exhale as you sweep forward. You're bending into the belly, so it's easier to deflate. And inhale in this like rainbowy part as you sweep over, reaching towards the sky. There's more space in the lungs, the rib cage for that. And we'll change directions here. Inhaling up through center, exhale to the side, and sweep. Doesn't have to look any certain type of way. We're just waking up the spine, shoulders, the lower back. Nice. Back up through center, and we'll bring the elbows down, wave out the hands. Just flicking side to side, full range of motion, warming up the wrists. And hands come down, and side to side, fingers wiggle. Morning, good morning, welcome, welcome, hi, kai. We'll do some wrist work today as well, I think. Then we'll flip the palms up towards the sky, and the fingers are reaching back as far as they can as we toss pizzas. If you hear like a grindy, or you like feel like it's like grindy on your wrists, that's pretty normal. It's not a good sign. I'm not gonna say it's bad, but that's what we're just kind of working through. So all these like clicky, sticky parts, we're basically signaling to the body to send some synovial fluid there, some like lubricant, just to smooth over those areas. If we don't move into those areas, then the body has no incentive to keep those joints nice and oiled up. All right, shake off water. Three, two, one. All right. Bring the legs out in front. Spread and scrunch the toes. Roll out the ankles. So waking up the lower legs here. Change directions. Nice. Bend in the knees, feet come mats distance apart, and just drop the knees side to side, or just waking up the hips. Now this is like our 10th class together or so. So if you've been here, or even if you've just been to a few classes, you know that this beginning part is more or less the same each time. And even just this part's really helpful if you ever need like a stretch break from whatever you're doing seated throughout your day. Don't feel like you need to have a 90-minute practice for it to count. Everything that we do counts. Alright, So letting the knees fall over to the right. Make sure both knees are on the ground or have space to touch the ground. So the feet are in this like stag position. Right hand comes onto the ground close to the lower back. We're gonna lift the hips up. And the left arm reaches up and open. Just opening this whole front side body. Deep breath in. And exhale comes down to seated. Left hand touches down, drop the knees over to the other side. Hips lift, chest lifts, arm raises. And we're just gonna sweep side to side. It's okay, it doesn't have to be your deepest back bend ever. It's one of the first ones from class, so we're just gently opening up the body. Any clicks or cracks in the shoulders or hips, it's all good. We're just noticing, no judgment. Clouds passing in the sky. We just got one more to each side here. Hello, thank you, welcome. I didn't know that it did that. That's a happy sound. All right, beautiful. So we're gonna come to our hands and knees in tabletop pose. There we go. Hands come underneath the shoulders, knees are underneath the hips. Belly drops on the inhale, chest and hips rise. Looking up, cow pose. And exhale, rounding in the spine, chin tucks towards chest. We're gonna work on what we started working on yesterday, which is lifting the knees. I'm kind of exaggerating here so that you can see kind of where we're headed. It can just be an inch or two. Rounding in the spine. Cat pose with lifted knees. Inhale. Knees touch down, they don't drop down, they touch down. Belly drops, hips and chest rise. Exhale, rounding in the spine, chin tucks towards chest, knees lift. Giving the tops of the feet a nice stretch as well. Inhale through cow pose. Exhale through cat pose. Once more like this at your own breath's pace. And touching back down, toes tuck under, sitting back on the heels. So my toes are tucked under, sitting back on my heels. The more you sit back, the more weight's going to come onto the feet. So we're just stretching the opposite part of the toes and feet out that we were when we were lifting our knees. It's also good for your core. I think that's going to be the best way to show you guys this. We're going to do some wrist resiliency stuff. So I know a couple of you that are on right now are working on handstands. We're not doing handstands today, but everything that we're doing is going to help you get there safely with your wrists and your hands. Even if you're not working on a handstand, it's gonna undo years of texting and typing. All right, so you can untuck the feet, give them a little pat out. Okay, so with the hands, just like we were before, fingers are spread super wide. We're gonna just draw circles almost with the shoulders. So really slow, like at your own breath's pace. We're gonna draw circles. This isn't the exercise, this is like the surveillance. So if at any point you're feeling sharp pain, you're gonna wanna notice now before we go into the next few moves. And then change directions. So it can feel uncomfortable or tight or clicky or any of those things. We're just like noticing, just kind of like surveying the land. We're not, you know, we're checking out the room. We're not rearranging the furniture. We're just noticing. All right, we'll tuck the toes under, sit back on the heels, and then instead of shaking the hands out, I just like to do, like, almost give myself like a wrist massage, and I almost like push the blood from my forearm into my hands. Okay. So for this next move, we're going to turn the hands back. So my fingers are turning towards the pinkies, pinky side direction, towards the knees. Both of them. My palms never leave the floor, so like right below my wrist is touching the floor. And here, I'm going to slowly lean back until I get to my stopping point. Your like angle doesn't have to look like mine, but we're just going forward and back. No matter what, the wrists stay on the ground. It doesn't, you're not trying to get your hips onto your feet or anything like that. Like, there's no goal in regards to the rest of the body. You're just paying attention to your wrists. So we're gonna do that like 8 to 10 times, just going back and forth, back and forth. And on that 8th time, we're gonna hold it back there, but not hold the breath. It's really tempting here to lift the wrists, but commit. Like your wrists are glued, like your palms are glued to the ground. You're just finding your edge here. There's no judgment, there's no right or wrong. One more deep breath. Bring it back so that your shoulders are over your wrists. Untwist one, untwist the other, tuck the toes under. Might as well get a nice foot stretch here. I'll give the wrist a break. If I have a weak wrist, will this help strengthen it, or should I modify these moves? That's a great question. So yes, it'll help strengthen the wrists, but one wrist is gonna feel different than the other, and you should treat them differently. You don't have to force, say it's your left wrist that was injured before. I don't know if you said it was injured, but a weak wrist. Yeah, so I'll show you with the strengthening. This is gonna really help with resiliency, but we're gonna, on one of our next movements is a strengthening one. And just be kind and patient to the wrist that was injured, or the wrist that you say is weak. Don't force it to do anything or go as deep as the other side. Okay? There's no pride with wrists. Like, seen grown men like cry doing some of this stuff. Just been working on it for literally 17 years. Like, don't expect it to look any type of way. This is just like your own journey. Okay. So back to it. Back onto hands and knees, tabletop pose. We're gonna turn the wrists, the fingers out. So turning so that my middle fingers are facing 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock. From here, so you wanna start here. I'll turn this way so you can actually see, but my hips are over my knees just like normal. Fingers are still spread wide. Palms of the wrists, palms of the hands are glued to the ground, and we're gonna go side to side. If you feel like you have to go really, really far to feel a stretch, bring your wrists closer together. If your wrists are touching and you can only go a little bit, just give yourself some space. Like, this is a nice place to start with like a foot in between. And just as slow as before. So if you have a wrist that was injured, you know, you might not be able to go as far in one direction than the other. That's okay. You're just going in relation to that wrist and stopping at that point. most of what we do with our hands is like grip. So like grasping a steering wheel, clenching our fists, opening jars, all that stuff. We don't really do these movements very much, which leaves them vulnerable. You know, God's forbid we fall or land on our wrist. Okay, so we're gonna go over to the right side. And my elbows are straight this whole time. We're just breathing here. We've got like 2 deep breaths here. So I'm at my limit. If I went any further, I'd be in pain. Whereas right now I'm like, okay, like this is intense. Nice. Bring it all the way over to the left. Keep that elbow straight. Full breathing here. Back to the middle, toes tuck under. Sit back on the heels. Just gonna gently roll the wrists out so you can interlace the fingers, elbows touch, and just make these figure 8s. It's like infinity signs. I had a yoga teacher that called this wrist floss. It's like flossing your wrists. Change directions, which will probably feel weird. If it feels weird, you know you're going in the opposite direction. Alright, I just got 2 more wrist moves for you. So, yeah, I do want to do that. Okay, so we're coming back into tabletop pose. And now we're gonna flip the wrist. Okay, so check this out. So I'm turning onto the top of my hand so that my fingertips are towards my toes. Right? You may want to go one at a time, but if it feels okay, you can go with both. If you know for a fact that you have a wrist that's been injured or broken before, then just go one at a time. There's really no, like I said, there's no pride, and there's like definitely there's no award for being able to do all this like sick stuff with your wrists. Okay, so here we are on the tops of our hands, and the first step is just straightening out your arms. So right now my elbows are locked out. I'm turning my the eye of my elbow, like the inside part, towards the front. But you may be here, and that's okay. We're just working towards straightening. Bend and straighten. Bend and straighten. If you are doing one hand at a time, go ahead and switch over to the other hand now. Okay. If you have your arms already straightened and you're like, okay, I feel it, but no big deal, then you just want to slowly begin to lean back. Don't skip steps here. Like, there's really no destination. You're just looking for where your edge is. Everyone's edge is going to be different. Each wrist is going to be different. You probably won't be able to go as far back as you did on the other wrist exercises, and that's okay. We're full breathing here. Just let the shoulders relax away. We've got like 2 more breaths wherever you are. One wrist at a time, straightening out the arms or a slight lean back. And then bringing the shoulders back up over the wrists. Untuck one, untuck the other. Toes tuck under, sit back on the heels. Let's just give the wrist like a little free movement. If you are recovering from a wrist injury, or even if it's from a really long time ago, like the body repairs itself on its own, but it'll just get to the point of like functioning. If you wanted to get back to where it was before, or like where your other elbow or knee or whatever shoulder it was, it's going to take some rehab and like You can really do these exercises like every other day, the wrist ones. I got one more for strengthening, and then we're gonna stand. Coming back into tabletop pose. We're going to, so keep the shoulders over the wrists here, and just lift the wrist. So I never take my fingers off the ground. I'm just slowly raising and touching down the wrists. Raise and lower. I may be making that look easier than it is. I'm not using any momentum. So I'm not like swinging back and forth, none of that. I'm just using my hand strength to rise up and slowly lower down. Just gonna do like 3 more of these for a set of 8. And the slower you go, the more that strength is gonna build up. When I was first shown these, I could do like 2. And I'm pretty sure I wasn't doing them properly, and it was really frustrating. But it's okay to, you know, be bad at stuff. Like, we're all bad at the thing until we're not bad at it anymore. Whew. Okay. Toes tuck under, seat it back. We'll give the hands just a nice shake out. Good work, guys. Can't believe you're all still with me. Guys are awesome. 3, 2, 1. All right. Hands touch down, toes tuck under. Let's bring it up, walking the hands back. I'm gonna bend one knee and then the other. One knee and then the other. Whew, feels good. Stretch out the legs after all of that kneeling. Let's not do any more tabletop poses today. Bring the feet nice and wide, like mat's distance apart. Grab opposite elbows, a little bend in the knees. We're gonna just come into ragdoll, giving the sway side to side. Nod the head yes. Shake the head no. And just releasing the arms. Deep breath in through the nose. Side out. Hands come onto the ground, bend in the knees, heel toe the feet together. Come all the way up to stand. Arms sweep up when you get there. And exhale, hands to heart center. Nice. Just actually see what's going on. Cool. Let's walk it up to the top of the mat. Yes. Big toes come to touch. Arms sweep up overhead. Squeeze the glutes. So there's, here we go. Let's bring our hands onto the hips. Just want to teach you guys this real quick. So here we are standing tall. And then there's like, you can like pop your butt out. It's like a Donald Duck butt. Okay. This position is not super great for your lower back. And then you can also like tuck your hips under, almost like a little hunched over like older person, right? Which we do all day on the couch. So also not so great. So we want to find in the middle. Imagine your hips are like a teacup. We don't want to spill the tea from the front, and we don't want to spill the tea from behind. We want a nice level hip placement, pelvic bowl. And sometimes it's going to feel like a little bit more of a tuck than we normally stand in. Generally, if you're like a super like femme presenting person, we're kind of taught to stick your butt out. So heels are all about. Not super great for your actual skeleton, so we're gonna just work to undo or counteract, not undo, but counteract a little bit of that, okay? Move this back a bit so you can actually see what I'm talking about. All right, so we got one extreme, the other extreme, right in the middle. So the trick is to squeeze your butt muscles, activating your lower abs, which just means like squeezing your abs in a bit. You might not have that muscle awareness in the abs yet. We're just working towards it. Right? Keep that as we work on this back bend. So, arms sweep up overhead, head tilts back to follow the hands. Next, the chest tilts back. Deepest back bend ever? No. Nice deep stretch for the shoulders, the front side body, yes. Alright, bending in the knees, we forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Hands on shins, it's like you're making the number 7 with your body. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale brings you all the way back up to stand. Arms sweep up when you get there. Head tilts back, chest tilts back, arms reach back. Chest lifts maybe a little deeper. Exhale, fold. Inhale rolls you all the way back up. Arms sweep up when you get there. Engage the glutes. Big reach back. And forward fold. Inhale to a halfway lift. Exhale, bend in the knees, sending the hips back, arms sweep forward. So I'm counterbalancing the weight of my hips going back, with my arms sweeping forward. They can be parallel to the ground. Looking down, I can see my toes past my knees. So this is knees past toes, this is toes past knees. Beautiful. Utkatasana, chair pose. Squeeze your knees together like you're holding a postcard in between them. We're redirecting some of that effort out of the thighs and into the knees by pressing inward. So we can use tension actually to help make certain things a little bit easier. And we're just breathing here. Just feel where your feet make contact with the ground. Notice if the temperature of your body is changing, any heat's being built. And just believe that you can sit here. It's like you're sitting in a chair pose. We just got one more breath here. And like a friend's pulling you up to stand, come all the way up to stand. Full body stretch. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale to a halfway lift, hands on shins. Exhale, hands down to the ground, right foot takes a giant step back. Release the right heel to the ground so the toes are facing the long side of the mat. If you were to draw a line from the back of your heel to your back foot, it would intersect with the arch of the back foot. Right arm sweeps forward like a cartwheel up to warrior two. Shoulders over hips. The hips are facing the long side of the mat. Arms are parallel to the ground. Left knee over left ankle. Pressing into the pinky side edge of the back foot, into the heel of the front foot. My toes are not gripping. Look over the front fingertip. Inhale, left arm reaches up, front arm reaches up. Opening this whole side body, keep the bend in the front knee. Nice. And exhale, extended side angle. So we're going to land our elbow on the knee. Right arm reaches up towards the sky. If you feel you still have space here, you can play with pressing the hand down towards a block or the ground and reaching this arm over the head towards the wall, over past the front of your mat. So I'm still pressing through the pinky side edge of my right foot and reaching through the fingertips, creating a nice long line of energy. This bottom hand is barely pressing into the ground at all. If anything, my elbow's pressing into the knee. Just like with the knees pressing together in chair pose, I'm using tension to relieve some of the stress of that thigh holding my body up. Full breath here. And then using strength power, press back up to warrior two. Extend the front leg straight and reverse triangle. Drop the back hand down the side of the leg and just reach this front arm, the left arm, up towards the sky. So now just opening this whole side that was just crunched together before. Full breath in here. And exhale, bend in the knee, cartwheel the arms down, framing the front foot. Left foot steps back to meet right foot in plank pose. Deep breath in here, pressing the ground away. Lower back is nice and long. We're not dipping in, we're not hunching over, right in the middle. And exhale, we lower down halfway. 3, 2, 1. Elbows make a 90-degree angle. Then flip over the toes. Press the chest forward for upward facing dog. My tops of the feet are pressing to the ground so hard that the knees are lifted. We were playing with this earlier. If that doesn't feel so hot on your body, you can drop the thighs onto the ground and bend the elbows to come into Bhujangasana, Cobra pose. Both completely valid back bends. Either way, we've got a breath here. Pulling the shoulder blades in towards one another like you're holding a pencil on your upper back. And then just as before, we press into the feet so hard, hiking the hips, we might roll over the feet. So I'm not rolling my ankles out to the side, right over the top. You can go one at a time. Nice downward facing dog. You can walk your dog out bending one knee and then the other. Fingers are spread wide. Deep breath in here. You can lift the heels. Audible sigh in the exhale, heels drop down. 2 more like that. Inhale through the nose, heels rise. Exhale through the mouth. 1 more like that. Nice. And the right leg reaches up and back behind you towards the wall. Looking up between the hands. Up onto the left tiptoes. Knee comes in towards the nose. Bring your shoulders up over the wrist. Tiger pose. Right foot steps up to meet between the hands. Left foot steps up to meet it, inhaling to a halfway lift at the top of the mat. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale brings you all the way back up to stand. Arms sweep up when you get there. And exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, arms sweep up overhead, full body stretch. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale to a halfway lift, hands on shins. Exhale, chair pose. Bend in the knees, sink the hips, arms sweep forward. Nice, we just got one deep breath here, keeping the lower back nice and long. Inhale up to stand. Exhale, forward fold. Left foot takes a giant step back. Drop the left heel down. Right knee bent over right ankle. If you were to draw a line back from the front heel to the back foot, it would intersect the arch of that foot. Then the left arm leads as we cartwheel the arms open to warrior two. Hips are facing the long side of the mat, shoulders just over the hips. Arms open up like the letter T. Right knee over right ankle. Shoulder blades still engaged in towards one another. Inhale, reverse warrior. Right knee stays bent. Stay committed to that bend as we bend open towards the back wall. Then the right arm releases down onto the right thigh, left arm towards the ceiling, extended side angle. If you've still got space here, you can release that bottom hand down towards the ground. More importantly, the elbows pressing into the knee. There's not like a weight being put down onto that wrist. Maybe the top arm reaches towards the front wall to give the shoulder a different stretch. You see what feels best for you. And I'm using this tension of the elbow with the knee to keep my chest nice and open instead of hunching forward. I want to keep my chest open towards the long side of the mat back wall. Using leg strength, we power press back to warrior two. Extend the right leg long, reverse triangle. Dropping the left hand down, right arm reaches up, giving a nice stretch from this whole right side body. Then bend in the right knee, cartwheel the arms down to the ground, framing the front foot. Right foot steps back to meet left foot. Plank pose. Deep breath in here. Exhale, slowly lower down halfway, chaturanga. Elbows are squeezed in towards the rib cage. Tops of the feet flip. Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, upward facing dog. Glutes are squeezed tight, tops of the feet pressed into the ground, knees lifted, or you can come into your cobra pose variation. Shoulders are pulled away from the ears, down and back. Full breath in. And exhale, downward facing dog, hiking the hips up. It's like the hips are pressing up and back towards where the back wall meets the ceiling. And working towards heels pressing down towards the ground. It doesn't matter if they touch the ground or not, that's just the direction of the body. Fingers are spread wide. Left leg sweeps up and back behind you towards the back wall. Three-legged dog. Exhaling, knee in towards nose, onto the right tiptoes. Roll the shoulders up over the wrists. Left foot steps up between the hands. Right foot steps up between the hands. Inhale to a halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale brings you all the way up to stand. Arms sweep up when you get there. And exhale, hands to heart center. Nice. Return to face one another and just shake it out. This is our lymphatic shake part of class. I think we built up quite a bit of heat. I don't know if you guys are feeling it, I'm feeling it. So with the lymphatic shaking, basically we're just lifting up off of our heels and just letting them smash down and just let the body kind of jiggle, or like really jiggle. Once again, there's not really like a wrong way of doing it. You just want to be soft in the knees and kind of just shake your body out. So our lymphatic system is like really important system in the body to help keep functioning at a healthy level. So all this shaking, or like jumping on a trampoline, it's really good to keep all those fluids moving and draining and all of that jazz. And it also helps relieve a lot of stress. So you can also like come into a full jump. That's also totally approved and sanctioned. Just depends if you live upstairs from people and how much your neighbors like you. Shake your hands out. I have like an entire playlist of shaking songs, so feel free to reach out to me about those. I'm just not allowed to play them while I'm live streaming, but there's so many good songs to shake to. If you need to like wake up in the mornings, and it's really hard for you to wake up, just waking up like this, just waking up and shaking to like a 4-minute song, totally life-changing. Shake one leg out. You just keep going. It's like you want to stop, but just push through that little voice that's telling you to stop. Just keep it going. We've got breaths of joy coming up. So keep shaking. I'm just going to demonstrate what that looks like. It's a 4-part breath. So it's 3 little inhales that equal an exhale. 3 little inhales that equal 1 big inhale. So there's no exhale in between. It's just like sip of air in, sip of air in, sip of air in, and a big through the mouth, like yell as loud as you want. on the ha, which is the fourth part, which is the out. So it looks like this. In, 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 ha. In, in, ha. All right, so keep a nice bend in my knees for that. In, ha. In, ha. 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 Three more. Ha. Ha. Last one. Ha. Just take a moment here, let your legs be nice and wide. You can breathe through your mouth now if you've been forcing yourself to breathe in and out through your nose all of class. It's great. Just whatever you need, just take a moment in stillness to feel kind of what was created there. Might place your hands on your belly or your chest, your heart. And just notice, how has your breathing changed? Like, what has changed with your heartbeat, with the temperature of the air in the room compared to your skin? And in your mind, what thoughts came up during that exercise? Was there any resistance? Or did you go all out? What do you have to lose by going all out? Or what have you lost in life from not going all out? No right or wrong, no good or bad. Just something to notice. We'll gently blink our eyes back open. And we're going to come down to our mats. Might take a sip of water. I need a sip of water after all that yelling. And find that belt or yoga strap. That good? That's better. And we're coming down to seated. Hug the knees in. Coming down to reclining. Giving the knees a nice hug in, a little rock side to side. Grabbing onto opposite knees. And you're just drawing circles with the knees. Change directions. Alright, roll out the ankles. And then let the left leg extend down the length of the mat. Grab onto your strap or belt and find the center. So you just grab the two ends together and find the middle on the other side. Then place it on the middle part of your foot. So not on your toes, not on your heel, just in the middle. And then extend that leg up straight. Let your shoulders relax up to the ground, bring a bend to the elbows. And we're just going to draw circles on the ceiling, working into that right hip. It can be little or big, fast or slow. Change directions. Let those circles spiral down to center. Okay, cool. And once you're in center and you're just trying to get this knee bent, this knee straight, it's okay if there's a little bend to it, you're just working towards straightened out. We're going to bring the right hand onto both straps. Left hand comes onto the left hip. We're just going to open this leg to the right. Like if you were Lunette the Clown, if you guys know what I'm talking about, you're my age. Your right foot is now at 9 o'clock. Yeah. So it's okay if your foot doesn't touch the ground. Like there's no real destination, as I said. The destination is always your edge, whatever that looks like. And if you're like, okay, I don't feel a stretch at all because you have really open hips, then you just pull that leg up, still straight, still touching the ground, but that's when you start working the leg up towards the wall that your head is facing. And if you're like, I can't make it that far, then you just let the leg lower down a little bit more. Right? Middle is a good place to start. Bringing it back up through center. Use the arm for help. Straps come into the left hand. Right arm opens up like the letter T to counterbalance, to counterweight. And this leg crosses over the body. Let the hips go with it. And now this leg is facing 3 o'clock. Right? As a starting point. Same deal. If you feel like, oh, okay, like this feels really open to me, then you can start bringing the leg up. Or if you're like, nope, I'm in excruciating pain, back off a bit by letting the leg lower, a bit lower than 3 o'clock, right, towards 4 o'clock. That metaphor makes sense. The right shoulder is pressing down towards the ground. So we're not rolling over. No, the chest is still facing the ceiling, just the legs going in that direction. Then we bring it back up through center. Both hands come back onto the straps, then lower the hands a bit so the shoulders are relaxed. Using bicep strength, not shoulder tension, we're going to pull the leg in towards the head, right? So now we're bringing the leg towards the body. And it doesn't matter how it looks, it matters how it feels. So if you're here, and that means you're getting up to here, you're working your way up towards vertical, that's beautiful. That's exactly where you need to be. So you're finding the edge where it feels intense, but you're not like out of breath at how intense it is or how painful it is. We're all in different places in every aspect. Yoga's no different. So just breathing fully, keeping that leg straight, to the best of our ability. Got one more breath here. Bend in the right knee. Unloop the belt. Hug the knee in towards the chest. Flex the left foot, pressing like you're pressing the wall away. And release the right leg down the length of the mat. Left knee comes in. Finding the center of the strap once more. Loop the belt around the middle of the foot. And as you extend the leg up, just notice you're probably reaching higher than you need to. Bend the elbows, let the shoulders relax. I begin to draw circles with this left leg. So it's like your left foot is drawing circles on the ceiling. Change the direction of the circles. And let those circles become smaller and smaller like a spiral until they get to the center, your most vertical spot. Both straps come into the left hand. Right hand comes onto the right hip, holding it in place, keeping it from rolling over, as we gently open the left leg out to the side, like opening it to 3 o'clock. For more resistance, pull the leg up towards the head. For less resistance, let the leg lower down, almost like to 4 o'clock. Still, the right hip is glued to the ground. Don't let it roll over. Right shoulder glued to the ground. Just breathing here, stretching open this hip flexor, inner thigh. The leg comes back up through center. You can use that right arm for help. Bring both straps into the right hand. Left hand opens up like the letter T, counterbalancing as the left leg crosses over the body to the right. Let the hips go with it, but the left shoulder stays glued to the ground. Once again, finding that positioning with the leg that most serves you. Breathing here. Head back up through center, bring the leg back up through center. Finding either your strap in left and right hands, shoulders relaxed onto the ground, using just bicep strength. Pull the leg in towards your face. So we're just finding that edge to where the back of the leg is at a point of intensity, but not excruciating pain. It shouldn't take your breath away. Last deep breath here. Bend in the knees. Unloop the foot. Hug the knee in towards the chest, pressing the right heel away when you're leaving pose. Extend that leg out. Both knees come in, grabbing opposite elbows to the best of your ability, pulling the knees in towards the chest. Let the head stay on the ground this time. And then just notice here, is there any last movement, wiggle, stretch, posture that your body's asking for as we prepare for our Savasana final relaxation pose? So any last movement at all, no wrong answers, doesn't have to have a fancy yoga name. Just finding your way into that. Any preparations you need for Savasana final relaxation pose, sip of water, a blanket, whatever it might be. And I'm going to sit up, but you stay laying down. That way I can play some Tibetan singing bowls for you and lead you through this final meditation. Wrapping up whatever those last movements were for you. And finding your way into Shavasana, final relaxation pose with yourself lying flat on your back. If this brings pressure to your lower back, just roll up a towel or bring a pillow underneath your knees to keep them bent. That should relieve the tension in your back. Feet come to land at least a foot apart. Legs so relaxed that the knees, that the feet naturally splay open. Hands come to rest at least 6 inches from the body. Palms face open, a symbol, a mudra of receptivity, allowing yourself to receive the full benefits from your effort here this morning. Eyes come to close if that's comfortable, and we'll take 3 cleansing breaths here, just like in the beginning of class, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Allowing an audible sigh on that exhale. And allowing the breath to continue just through the nose if that's available. And give the mouth a little swallow just to release any tension in the throat. And invite space between top and bottom teeth as the jaw hangs heavy. Tongue falls away from the roof of the mouth. Symbol of Rita Chitti, monkey mind. And just let it go. They say that thoughts creep in the space between inhalations and exhalations. And relaxing the corners of the mouth, the nose. And the eyes rest heavy in their sockets. Eyelids just barely touching. And space between the eyebrows broadens as the forehead relaxes. Expressionless and peaceful on the face. And all the muscles surrounding the ears and the head relax. Throat and neck relax. Shoulders melt away. Upper arms and elbows relax. Forearms and wrists release. And backs of the hands, palms, knuckles, fingers, fingertips, fingernail beds. Whole hands, alive with vibration, alive with creative potential. Rest and integrate what was gained from this effort. Upper back, middle, and lower back relax, supported by the earth below it. Chest naturally rises and falls. And within that rib cage, 2 lungs oxygenating blood. And between those 2 lungs, a heart distributing lifeblood without any attention necessary from your mind. The system functions on a beat of its own. Belly naturally rises and falls with that breath. digesting and processing without needing us to micromanage. Hips, glutes, pelvis, rest heavy and grounded. Thighs and knees relax. Lower legs and ankles release. Heels, arches, toe ball mounds, tops of the feet, and all of your toes. Rest. Whole body rests. Whole body relaxes. Whole body heavy. Whole body heavy. Whole body heavy, supported by the ground below you. Allow for everything that did and did not happen in class today. Know that in yoga, practice always makes practice. Nothing more, nothing less. And that's the good news. And gently begin to deepen your inhalations, and that feeling of heaviness replaced with the feeling of openness, lightness, expansion, lifting towards the front side body. Let the fingers begin to wiggle, toes as well, as we invite movement back into the body. Head can gently rock side to side. And arms reach up overhead for a full body stretch. Your knees come in towards your chest and roll over to whichever side feels natural, landing in a fetal position. Fully released and fully supported by the ground below you, lying on your side, eyes stay closed. Bring to mind any intention or dedication you set for class, or take this opportunity to set one perhaps. And if that intention serves you, take it with you off the mat and into the world. Allow it to affect you and the people around you for the rest of your day. Gently, with as little effort as possible, eyes can even stay closed. Press your hands into the ground to come up to a seated position, just like how we started class, facing one another. Hands come to meet at heart center. Today we worked on wrist resiliency, on hip resiliency as well, actually, hip mobility, kind of like a ankle to wrist full body class. So solid Wednesday, I think, intentions. The first namaste said silently to yourself, thanking your body for the effort it put into class. And the second namaste is said out loud to one another. Namaste. Thank you, thank you, thank you for everyone who joined me this morning, made the effort to practice alongside, or even anyone who just came to hang out and hold space. Appreciate you. And I hope that something in this class serves you the rest of your day. You're welcome. Love you too.